December 19th, and this is a special Step Into the Story broadcast.
Yay!
Yeah, we're going to do a little bit of our year in review. We're going to do some fun stuff, talk about what we're drinking. I think all of us are being good today.
Yeah.
Special but good. And then we're going to talk to this lovely lady who's joined us today again.
Day.
Welcome back, Renee.
Always love being here. So fun.
All right. Welcome back, Renee.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So what have you been up to, Barb? We need to do the go around of what Barb's been up to, because Barb leads an exciting life.
Oh yeah.
Oh, come on. What did you do this week that was so cute?
I did babysit this week. I had my little Moo, and I babysat for 2 days. He's teething, so he's chewing on everything, which is so cute. And
he's so cute.
He is. He's my little angel, and he's actually almost sleeping through the night. So he slept really well while I was there, and because Grandma spoiled him, and Grandma carried him everywhere. My sisters were trying to break him of that habit. I'm like, that's sort of bad.
Not when Grandma's there.
Grandma's here. You gotta get married. You fussy. Oh, okay, Mommy. Grandma will hold you. Oh, you want food again? So
yeah.
I had a great 2 days babysitting.
Nice. What are you drinking?
So I am drinking non-alcoholic champagne. I was told that this was a wine thing. We don't have wine in my house, but it's so we can celebrate people's good news, like Renee's new release and your good news for the year. So
what are you drinking, Renee?
Diet Pepsi.
The usual, right?
Yeah. Champions.
I think, isn't it Kim Lang that also drinks Diet Pepsi like a fiend? I seem to remember her getting up in the morning at conference and drinking like Diet Pepsi.
I'm trying to cut back. It's bad.
I don't think drinking habits should be measured by conference, because I think we're all drinking a
lot of everything we shouldn't. Mm-hmm.
I have cranberry ginger ale, which is a rare sugar drink for me, because normally I drink like bubbly or something, like sparkling water, but I splurged on a cranberry ginger ale today. I just wasn't feeling the wine today for whatever reason. So, all right.
Wonders, non-alcoholic champagne tastes just like sparkling apple juice.
I was about to say.
Which, is okay as long as you don't expect champagne.
Right.
All right. So before we dig into Renee's new release, we do want to share our year in review a little bit, because it's been a busy year at Step Into the Story, and Barb and I have had a ton of fun.
Yep.
So I'm just going to give some stats for our highlights. So we've done 12 monthly book chats. We've had 11 featured authors. I think, Renee, you might make number 12. It's not a featured, like an official featured author segment, but you're here. We did 11 writing rooms, so a whole series in our writing room broadcasts. We have 6 books in our book challenge, and on our Step Into the Story Goodreads, we read and reviewed 44 books, with at least 2 more to come before the end of the year.
Wow.
And Barb and I, because sometimes we read different stuff, as you know, like research or stuff that is just different that we might not include in our Step Into the Story.
We have other favorite authors. We have different favorite
authors. So when we look at our individual stats, I'm at 58 books so far for the year, with probably 2 more to come. I thought I might hit 70, but I think I'm going to hit 60. Oh. And Barb is sitting just behind me at 54.
Oh, 55, because you didn't count Renee's.
Oh, right. Because so
55 with 2 more to go.
Sneaky.
I'll probably close out at 56.
Yeah. So I mean, that's what we've done just with our broadcasts and some of our reading this year.
We all went to the San Antonio Historical Fictions Conference, because we did a highlight.
Yeah.
And Donnie, I can't believe you counted this. We made 430 posts in our Facebook community.
Facebook counted that.
Counted it.
Not me.
Okay, so we also did have some favorites. My favorite interview, besides this one, Renee,
Of course.
Had to be Janet Halpin, which was last month.
She's so fun.
She's a lot of fun. It was fun having an indie author on. It was been highlighting something different, and I just really enjoyed her company. So she had to be my favorite. How about you?
My favorite interview, I think, was I had to really go back, but I think it was Noelle Salazar, and I think I did that one alone. I think you were somewhere.
I might have. Yeah, I was away a couple times.
Yeah, and I mean, all of our guests have been so lovely and fun. Like, I always have a good time doing featured authors, but I'd never met Noelle before. I really loved her book, which, I mean, I loved all of her books, but this one was Angels of the Resistance. And we kind of, in the chat before and after, we kind of bonded as fellow introverts. And I know I don't seem like an introvert, but I am. And like, she's just so sweet and lovely. And then I met her in Texas at the conference, and she's even more lovely in person. So I think that was probably one of my favorite, interviews for the year.
All right. And
yeah. What was your favorite book?
Well, this was hard because I really love Things Best Telling.
Right.
Well, actually, it was funny. Of my favorite books, if I were to pick the top four, 3 were by diverse authors. One was Yellowface, which we didn't do on the show, but it was a great book. And then it was Things Best Telling and The House of Eve, which were my absolute favorite. I gotta say, was The Beach at Summersley. Absolute favorite was Beatrice Williams.
Well, you can't go wrong with Beatrice.
No, and I fell in love with everything about that book. The reading, the wording, the pacing, the whole thing. It was like one of the first in a long string of Rebecca-like books.
Yeah.
That I read this summer. And I have to say it was also the best.
I mean, it set the bar pretty high, right?
Yeah. But
it's always been a favorite.
Yeah. But I would say a close second was Things Best Telling by Sheila Williams. Janet Noel recommended that. It was an author I'd never heard of, and I thought it was great.
Yeah. And I read some excellent books this year. Like, I went back through my Goodreads to look at what I would pick as my favorite book of the year. And I'm like, this is too hard to pick. Like, how do I pick? And then I ended up going with The Cuban Heiress, which we did a few months ago by Chanel Cleaton. And I think it was because I just enjoyed it so much. I found it so entertaining. I loved it had sort of this very 30s film noir quality about it. And I thought that the pacing and how she just dripped all the backstory in and all the, I just thought that was pretty flawless. So I think, from sheer enjoyment, I think The Cuban Heiress is probably.
Yeah, Renee, you would really like that one. The dialogue is super snappy in it. And I couldn't think of a better word. It's snappy. Like they're back and forth bantering.
Yeah, it's just.
It really felt like a 1930s.
I love that.
It really did have that quality to it. So before we move on, we have a few writing milestones of our own that we're also going to share as part of our year in review. So this year I revised and sold my first historical fiction. Yay! When the World Fell Silent, which will be out in August 1st. And I just signed another contract for my next hisfic, which will be set partially on board the Titanic. I released a novella in my Princess of Mars or romance series. I re-released 2 backlist books, and I'm finishing up the final book in my Jewel Cove small time romance series, Promise at Refuge Point. And so when I was thinking back over my year, I thought, wow, I really didn't write a whole lot. And then I looked at everything else that happened, and I'm like, no, I did okay.
You wrote too.
Yeah. So, and Barb, you have achievements.
I do have achievements.
You do.
I was gonna say, and then there's me. I did a talk this summer with 3 other cozy writers, and after they would finish their talks, they all shared the same publisher and the same agent, and they all wrote the same type of books. And then they hand the mic to me and go, and then there's me. I think I said it every single time. So speaking of, I put out my cozy novella, which people have been pestering me for a few years now to do a sequel to Backyards Have Bodies. So that just came out. I did finish my historical novel, and it's in sort of a Netherland right now. It's been accepted, but it is not the debut book. So I'm working on book 1, and this is the one that I wrote first is now book 2, if that makes any sense. But it was still an accomplishment to finish it because it was a challenge, and it was very non-traditional. So, and I think that's one of the things that was very, I went with a different vibe than I normally do. So,
yeah. And then what else? I mean, you got the go ahead to write on that next one, right?
Oh, I did. Yes. I mean,
Which
it was
so exciting.
I should explain. Basically, she said, we really like this, but it's too non-traditional to put out as a debut novel. Write something different, more traditional. And I did get the go ahead. So that's why I'm writing the book on Syndrome K.
Right. Which is super exciting.
Yes. Which is also a challenge because I've never been to Rome. And so it's trying to figure out how to do Rome when you've never been there. Or
I think you and the captain.
Road trip.
Yeah. So
I do think it has to happen. Yeah, you did all right yourself there, Chicklet. And I think
it's a good year. And I had a grandbaby. So
and your grandbaby. I think for all of us, we all come from romance land where it seems like the writing volume has always been like super faster and like more quantity. But really, I find that I need to give myself a year minimum to really get a book together. So I'm trying to get myself out of that, but I haven't produced enough mindset and just really do the thing, and do it right. So
you're in a different boat because you have an independent arm that is your income generator. So you were wearing two hats right now. And that makes it hard because that other hat requires you to put out output.
Yeah. And I'm putting out less that way, of course, now, because I'm really transitioning over into HisFix. So I'm really hoping that, 2024 is many, many, many more words. Less taking care of business.
That's it. Speaking of achievements, Renee Ryan's got a few. She had a fantastic book come out just at the end of last year, which we reviewed, which was The Secret Society of Salzburg. And now she's back with The Paris Housekeeper, which I adored. I told everyone last week that I was going to love it because I had mixed reviews on last week's. And I said that I knew I was going to love this one, and I did. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about it.
So The Paris Housekeeper, this was one of those books. It was the final book on a contract that I had. And I had this whole idea for a book, and my editor said no. And then I had another idea for a book, and my editor said no. And then I had a third idea for a book, and the editor still said no. And so this was last January. No, a year ago January. And the book, like the proposal was due. I don't know. I just know that it was a really tight turnaround. And then I came across this story of Irene Gut, who was this woman. It was actually set in Poland. And her story is a lot darker than, this story is kind of dark too, but a little bit darker than Camille. And long story short, she ended up becoming the housekeeper to an SS officer. And she hid 13 Jews, because one of them had a baby, 13 Jews can you imagine an infant in the basement of this guy's house, and they all survived. And so that's kind of the jumping off point. This book, I love Paris. I love the Hôtel Ritz. I set it in. I knew she was going to be a Paris housekeeper, and she had to start out as a housekeeper in a hotel. Well, why not put her at the Hôtel Ritz, right? So she's in the Hôtel Ritz, and the main character is a French girl from Brittany. And there's also her turns out to become a really good friend, fellow chambermaid is a Jewish woman living in Paris, and their family chose not to leave during the mass exodus when 20 million people or 2 million people left Paris.
I put the cover up so we can.
Yeah, before the Germans invaded. And then the third one is an American heiress who sort of has nowhere else to go and is a resident in the hotel. And at the time, there were a lot of famous residents, like Ernest Hemingway, Coco Chanel, a lot of other people. And so that's kind of what the story is about these three women navigating Paris after the book opens with the Germans invading Paris, and how these three women handle that invasion and what it means to live in occupied Paris, being a Jew and a French woman and an American.
And I was saying it because I was thinking about it this morning. I think that a lot of books are about how people navigate, but this was different about this is really about moral choices and living in that moral gray area that you have to live in during the war.
and during wartime in general. And that was really what I wanted to explore because, I mean, let's face it, the World War II historical fiction market is pretty saturated.
Yep.
And there's a lot of Paris books. If you go back and look, Paris, you put Paris, I mean, all these books come up that are set during World War II in Paris with Paris in the title.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, and I wanted to try something completely different. And I have a very gray character in Vivian, the American, who really struggles with selfish decisions, tries to be a good person in honor of her dead husband, but just doesn't really have the moral fiber that the other two have, and doesn't really have that compass because she's always just been very successful, has a lot of money. And I wanted to see what people would do. And even Camille, who seems like this really nice, wonderful woman, she's escaping a pretty big burden back home. Her little sister is what we would call suffering from some pretty intense PTSD because she witnesses her father's suicide at a very young age. And Camille, while she loves her and feels responsible for her, she also wants to get away from it. So, you know, being in Paris is sort of her escape, as well as also the burden of taking care of her sister monetarily. And then also being a Jewish girl. And I really wanted Rachel to have more anger. A lot of times these Jewish heroines in these books they're scared or they're brave. But, you know, really, Rachel's those as well. But she's also just really angry at her family, at France, at Camille, even at people just not doing enough.
Right.
And, you know, I really wanted to capture that in her character. And yet I wanted her to be sympathetic. I mean, I didn't want her to be unlikable.
No, but she really struggled. So I was just saying she struggled too. The way we all do with choosing what would be best for her versus being a good daughter, being a good person.
And she's young. She's 19. And I wanted her to be young. I wanted this girl to deal, literally a girl, 1 foot still in childhood, 1 foot in adulthood, being faced with war and being faced with people hating her because she's Jewish. And, you know, and then there was very little time when they had to wear the Jewish star, and when they had that final roundup of the women and children that were put into the Villodrome.
I found her, like, even though she was young, I found that part of the reason why she was so angry was because she found that, like, her father and her mother, like, she felt that they were naive, that they weren't really seeing what was really happening, or they were, you know, giving the Nazis the benefit of the doubt. Oh, we'll be fine if we just do what they say. And, like, she could see beyond that, even though she was younger, but she has no authority within the house, right? So she's stuck and she's frustrated. And then she goes through it at work, where she's, you know, that Jewish girl. And then, you know, so I felt for her a lot.
I think that one of the things that you just made a good point is she of the family, she was out and about. The parents stayed in their Jewish enclave.
Right. And even her sister Basha was working in a small fashion atelier where she was also very insulated as well, because she just went from the house to this small workroom, which is what an atelier is. And there's Rachel working in this public hotel. Yep. And she's seeing it all. And she's there when the Germans literally move into the hotel and shove all the people that aren't, you know, Germans and basically SS officers into the other part of the Ritz. Yep. You know, and so she's seeing it day by day. She's getting a little bit more rights taken away from her until ultimately she's fired from her job. And, you know, the problem that I read in all the historical books that I've read about what really happened, I mean, there's just unbelievable amount of accounts of what happened, is a lot of the Jewish people really thought they were safe in Paris because they were so assimilated. And I think even in our country, people still think if you're assimilated, you're safe, regardless of what your nationality is. And that's not necessarily true. It's and in some ways it wasn't about religion. That was the other thing. If you noticed I made her family irreligious. They are not practicing Jews. Rachel doesn't even have that to cling to. She can't even say, well, we practice Shabbat, or we can sing hymns, we can say the typical prayers, we can resort to clinging to our Jewish holidays, our holy high days. And she didn't even have that, but she was still targeted regardless. And I wanted to highlight that in this book.
Yeah.
So,
So the research for the Ritz, did you find that like really fun? Because I would imagine that would be fun. Like, because I know that while there's gritty parts in each book and parts that are a little unsavory, I always like when there's a little bit of glamour to offset it. So did you find that fun?
Oh, absolutely. I would say in general, that's kind of what sets my books apart. At least that's what my editor says, is that I always find that way to spin in that not necessarily high fashion, but just that life of glamour, that there was glamorous moments. People were living still in Paris, and this was Paris, and it was still a destination. And even in the German officers considered it a holiday at first because it was Paris. And I loved showing the Ritz. The Ritz it still is. It's just so iconic. Even, the color of their bath towels, that light peach color, and the restaurants and the bar, where Frank, he's real. I threw real people in there. Yeah. The hotel manager, he was real. The hotel owner, Madame Ritz, she was real, and I loved putting that in there. It was a breath of fresh air for me.
Well, and you did that with your other two as well, because the Widows of Champagne, of course, had the
parties, champagne,
right? Yeah. And then with the Secret Society of Salzburg, of course, that's in opera world. So you've done that with all three of those.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Oh, we should say there's a little Easter egg in this.
Yes,
the Widows of Champagne, which was
there is. I love
for that because you're working on something tied to the Widows of Champagne. So you gave everyone a little hint, right?
I did. The Easter egg is when Rachel's sister is fired from her job. She's fired from her job because because Paulette, the youngest sister from Widows of Champagne, is sent there. And I'm not going to give away Widows. You need to read Widows and why it's imperative that Paulette gets sent there. But I felt like Paulette always needed some redemption, and she never had that. And in Widows of Champagne, she's somewhat banished from her home for something terrible that she did. And she did it for all the right reasons. The 19-year-old, yet again, making a bad decision, and maybe even an unethical and immoral, but for the right reason. And now she has to suffer. And in Widows, you see her come back, and she's a completely different woman after 2 years in Paris. And I wanted to show that moment when she shows up, how broken she is. And that's the Easter egg that you get in the Paris Housekeeper.
Well, and speaking of redemption, that's a big theme in this book as well. I think when we look at Vivian, especially as we get to the end, and I don't want to spoil it.
Oh, that end.
I know. So, like, you're reading along, you're like, this is really enjoyable. And, you're reading and reading and reading. And all of a sudden you get to like the last, I don't know, 50
this is a book about friendship.
And then it's like, oh my God. And then you're really.
I will say there is a jaw-dropping moment where I'm like, she didn't. And it's like, and after that, I was glued to the page. Like,
sis really did that.
Yeah, and I thought for sure my publisher was going to say no, because my publisher is a traditional romance.
Yeah,
I mean, every other book that they put out is romance, and so there's always these happily ever afters, and that's all I'm going to say. But to make such a selfish choice, it was coming to a head, and I was like, oh, they're never going to let me get away with this. But my editor didn't even blink. She was like, it needed. I just felt like this.
100%.
Oh yeah, if you hadn't done that, the book would have just been another book. That's one of the things that really turned it into something exceptional.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that, because it's hard to know when you're sitting, as y'all know, when you're sitting in front of your little desk going, oh, this is a hard one. Am I going to do it? I'm just going to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you did.
Good.
My very first editor told me once, I said something about writing something I thought she was going to pull back on or whatever. And she said, no, well, like always take the risk. And if it doesn't work, then we'll pull you back, but don't be afraid to take it. So
that's very wise advice, because again, she could have pulled it back, but had I not put it there, I don't think she would have said, hey, how about if we do this at the end? I don't think she would have said that, but you're right. By doing it, I feel like it worked.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd like to think it worked. It worked for me as an author. And it worked for her character arc. It had to end that way for her. She just was at a place where I couldn't think of giving her a better ending than what I did.
Yeah, it worked. I don't think you mentioned what your release date is there, Sweet Pea.
Oh, yes.
A week from today, Tuesday, December 26th, the day that nobody is out shopping.
Boxing Day.
What?
You kidding? I worked in a bookstore. That place is full on December 26th.
Yeah, and
All
also
those gift cards, people are cashing those suckers.
That's what I'm hoping for. Gift cards.
It's one of our busiest days of the year.
And also online, like you're sitting there the day after Christmas with your online Amazon card or Barnes and Noble card, and you're like,
Christmas
dang,
afternoon.
what am I going to download now?
Oh yeah. So any of my newsletter subscribers, or if you're not one, go to my website and subscribe. You'll be reminded on the 26th that today is the day.
It's release day.
It's
We'll give
release
you a shout out as well, of course.
We will, along with the list, along with your website and how they can find you on Facebook and Instagram and all those. But yeah, take your gift card and buy it. It is
it's perfect for because most people, I know some people have to work, of course, between Christmas and New Year's, but a lot of people are off between Christmas and New Year's, and it's a perfect time to curl up with something like that. The glass of wine, hot cocoa, tea, whatever floats your boat.
Yep.
So before we go, I want to do a little game because it's Christmas. As you can see, I have my Christmas tree on behind me.
The note I have is Donna's going to kept this a secret. That's all she wrote.
Donna has a secret list. LMAO rubs hands together with glee. No, it's just a little, so it's a little thing called Santa or Scrooge. So I'm going to list some things, and you're going to tell me if you are Santa about it or if you're Scroogey about it. Okay, and there's 3 rounds. So the first round is the food round. Okay, so we'll go with Barb and then Renee. Okay, eggnog.
Oh, totally Santa.
Santa by a bajillion.
Yeah.
I'm also a Santa for eggnog.
Plain with brandy or in a latte. Yeah.
Okay, hot cider.
Is it my turn?
Hot apple cider.
Scrooge.
Really?
It's too sweet.
Okay.
I don't like the sugar.
Barb?
Santa.
I'm a Santa on that too. Actually, okay. Spoiler alert. I'm Santa on all of these. This is why I have a weight issue. Okay. So, okay, here's the real polarizing thing. Are you ready? Okay, Barb first. Fruitcake.
I knew it.
Oh, Scrooge.
Scrooge.
Really?
You're Santa. We already know. Spoiler.
More for me. Okay, so I didn't used to like it, and then I had my mother-in-law's, and I really, really liked hers. And then a couple of years ago, I found a different recipe for me, and the light fruitcake that I make is amazing. So anyway, yes, fruitcake, yes.
Take your word for it.
Okay. Hot chocolate.
Santa.
Santa's, okay. Plum pudding.
Never had it.
Never had it.
Really? Okay, so that has to be rectified. That's your mission if you choose to accept it. You have to get one of those little plum puddings. Barb might have a hard time because it's not GF, but okay, and this one might be a little more Thanksgiving-y for you guys, because rumor has it that not everyone in the US has a turkey dinner for Christmas dinner. It's a big thing here. I think because we have Thanksgiving in October, by December we're ready again. So we always have turkey dinner. So this might be more Thanksgiving for you, but cranberry sauce.
Oh, Santa.
Santa.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Okay, you ready for the music round?
Oh, okay.
Okay, Barb first. Santa baby.
Which version? I will say Santa if it's the Eartha Kitt version, Scrooge on the others.
Not the Madonna version?
No, Eartha
No.
Kitt. Eartha
Okay.
Kitt all the way, babe.
I'm going to agree with exactly what Barb said. 100%.
Okay. I am an Eartha Kitt or Madonna version, but no one else. Boney M. Renee.
What?
Boney M.
Oh. Sorry.
Boney M.
Santa.
I don't know it.
The group that sings Mary's Boy Child.
Oh, I like the song, so Santa.
Okay, I'm a total Scrooge. I hate Boney M.
I live a sheltered life.
Okay, let's try this one. Barb first. The Carpenters.
Oh, yeah, the Santa. That's Christmas. You need the Carpenters.
Santa.
You do listen to the Carpenters, but you need the Carpenters.
Santa.
Also Scrooge.
I'm thinking. I saw the face as soon as you
Sarah
said
Carpenter is rolling over in her grave.
You know what?
Yes.
My oldest, when we drive around to look at lights, inevitably Merry Christmas Darling will come on. And I actually named a book Merry Christmas Darling, but like Merry Christmas Darling will come on and she'll be like, I hate the Carpenters. Anyway, that's where the face comes from. All right. Next one is Renee first.
Okay.
Baby, it's cold outside.
Which version? Original? Any?
The song in general. Are you a fan or no?
This is a tough one. Can I be in between? Because I loved the song until I started really listening to it, and then I Scrooged it.
Okay.
So it's Santa / Scrooge, depending
See,
on.
that's why I asked it.
Yeah, because I
Hard
love
question.
the song. It's catchy, it's so cute. It's a great duet, and there's some really great versions out there. But then when you start listening to the music, the actual words, you're like,
In order to enjoy it, I think you have to put it tongue in cheek a little bit and take it, I think, in the way it was intended, even though it sounds
It was a
cringy.
more innocent time when it was created. So I'm
Right.
going to say Santa for the innocence of it.
All right, Barb.
100% Santa.
Okay.
I can tell you the background of that story, and I can tell you everything you want to know about that song.
Okay. Well, we'll put that in a post.
There you go. Just so you know, I have watched the original version, and it was a woman singing it to a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a lovely song.
And then Ricardo Montalban sang it to Esther Williams. And how could you possibly turn Ricardo Montalban?
And then All right. Are you ready?
Yep.
Mariah Carey's "All I Want for Christmas."
Go, Barb.
Santa.
Santa. So cute.
I'm also a Santa for that one. And I know it gets a lot of grief sometimes because it's so ubiquitous. Ooh, it's a word for today.
Okay.
But I also like it. So in keeping with that, Wham's Last Christmas, Barb.
Yeah, I'm going to say Santa.
Total Santa.
Scroogey.
I'll Scrooge you Taylor Swift's version.
Yeah, only
100%.
only George Michael.
No, but Wham's Last Christmas,
Yeah.
right? And everyone does the Whamageddon. You know, you try to avoid listening to it for as long as you can. And the last one is 12 Days of Christmas. Yes or no?
Santa. Hate it.
Are you Scroogey or Santa?
Scroogey. Sorry, Scroogey.
Yeah, you're shaking your head and doing Santa, and I got confused.
Scroogey. Sorry, Scrooge.
Unless it's Forever Plaid's version, which is mangled up completely, where they start singing Africa in the middle of it and all that.
Yes, I love that version. Love that one.
I am Scroogey except for the Sesame Street version, because instead of a partridge in a pear tree, Cookie Monster sings "And One Delicious Cookie." But I'm really not a 12 Days of Christmas fan. Okay, so the final round is, and then I have a this or that after that. I know I went crazy today. The movie and TV special round.
Oh, okay.
All right. So, and it's short. Do you like Hallmark Christmas movies, Renee?
Scrooge.
3 romance writers.
I know, right? Isn't that weird? Okay. Here's another one. A Christmas Carol, Barb.
Oh, Santa. We watch it every year.
I know you do. Renee?
Santa.
But it has to be the Alistair Sims version.
Scrooge.
Hmm.
Except for, and this is after my Sesame Street comment, this is going to come
yeah,
as no surprise, the Muppet version.
Yeah, you gotta love the Muppet version.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, Renee, It's a Wonderful Life.
Oh, Santa.
Barb?
Scrooge.
It's okay.
I liked it the first time.
I like it more each time I watch it. I'm a Santa. Charlie Brown Christmas, Renee.
Santa.
Santa.
Yeah, Santa for me too. And Christmas Vacation.
Santa, Santa, Santa. It's a tradition in our home. We can quote it. Ask me. I can quote it.
Same. When I worked at Indigo, I worked with a guy named Tyler, and we would talk to each other on our shifts, especially in the evenings when it was slow, with movie quotes. And a lot of times I'd be like, where are you going to put that book, Tyler? And he'd be like, bend over and I'll show you. And so like, you can't talk to me like that. Anyway, we would do that the whole time. So
The lights aren't twinkling, Clark.
I know we pulled that one out already when Daryl's string lights went out. One last one, A Christmas Story.
Scrooge.
Santa.
Scrooge. I'm not, and I know it's beloved and the freaking leg lamp and everything, but it just doesn't do it for me.
My husband hates it.
Okay, so a very quick random Christmas this or that, and then we'll wind up.
Okay.
Do you like a white Christmas or a green Christmas?
White.
White.
White. Well, some people, listen, if someone said, here, I'm going to send you to Jamaica for Christmas, I'd be like, bring on the green. Multicolored lights or white?
White.
Hi. I love multicolored lights, but my tree is white.
So I like multicolored, but my tree is white. But if I hit a button, it's colored. And then if I hit the button again, it alternates.
We wanted that, but ours just came with the auto white lights.
Well, this used to be my mother's. But I actually like multicolored lights. I just find them so happy and cheerful. Real tree or artificial?
Real.
Again, Ty, I have an artificial, but I do have a fondness for real trees.
I'm artificial all the way because I like the fact that I can move the branches.
Oh, I like that. I just
Convenience.
there's something about trees, but
Yes.
I've never had one in my life.
And I don't have to water or vacuum. Online shopping or in person in the stores?
In person.
What about you, Barb?
This year it's been online. Usually in person, but this year it's been online all the way.
I did mostly online. Just some of the things I wanted to go into the store to get, and when I looked to see like the store stock, they didn't have any. So I ended up just ordering it online anyway. And the final question, final of all of it. Do you wrap your stocking stuffers or not?
Yes.
Yes.
I do too.
More
do
to
too.
Yeah.
open.
Right? It's just way much like otherwise you just dump it out and go, oh, thanks, bye, like whatever. But yeah.
Yep.
I do have a question before we go because we never asked Renee. What was your favorite book this year?
Oh yeah. Put you on the
I
spot.
loved Unnatural Creatures. It was a retelling of the Frankenstein story, but from the women's point of view, the three women, the bride of Frankenstein, his mother, and then the woman that his wife, the woman that he was supposed to marry that, anyway. And I've always been fascinated by Mary Shelley and her history. And then I thought, okay, let's see this retelling. And it's the three different women's points of view. And you watch Victor kind of go into his madness through their eyes. And it's just so well done. And so I would say that would have been my
Okay,
favorite.
we need to put that in the show notes.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. It's called.
Yeah,
Put a note. We have a comment up that says they don't wrap the orange.
Okay, fair.
Fair. I'll get that. Is a very fair. Very fair.
Fair. All right, so Barb, what's coming up next for us?
2024.
I know.
So we've already started planning 2024. We're very excited. We are going to do our interview is with Glynis Peters, who is writes about World War II, but she does a lot of orphan work.
Yeah.
Works about orphans. She's got a series about World War II orphans. So she's coming on, and I can't remember the name of it. We're doing what's the name? It was the woman who survived both the Titanic and the Lusitania.
Unsinkable.
Unsinkable. Jenny Walsh.
Jenny Walsh.
Jenny, who I adore. Merry Christmas to you too, Sue. I adore her, and we're doing her book first. And we are not doing the writing room this year. We decided to take a little break from that. But what we are excited about is we are looking into doing this as a podcast so that all our interviews will be up and available for audio.
Yeah. Yep, just making it a little more versatile. We are going to have a shorter broadcast next week on Boxing Day. So we'll give Renee's book a little shout out then too. A little bit more about 2024 and some fun stuff and a Happy New Year post. So that's Boxing Day, and it'll probably be more like 15 minutes rather than 30. And then we'll be into January.
Oh, and we have a new reading challenge for next year. And we did something a little different this year. We pulled out books that we already had in our pile that we've been saying we were going to read. So it's the Barb and Donna's To Be Read Pile reading challenge.
Yeah, so all of that will be announced next on Boxing Day.
Yeah, and we'll give you the titles. And there's some good ones in there.
Yeah.
That's shame on us that we haven't gotten to them yet.
Yeah. All right.
So Renee, we're so happy that you came on.
Thank you for having me. Always, I miss my girls. It's been
You are welcome to co-host with us anytime you want. In fact, if you'd like, you can come on in January and take my place because I will not be here when Donna's interviewing Glynis. You are more than welcome to be my son.
Yeah.
Consider yourself invited.
And everyone else, I hope you all have a very Merry Christmas. If you don't celebrate, I hope you have a great day off and enjoy your long weekend. And
go get Renee's book, pre-order it so you have it on the 26th, which is PARIS Housekeeper. I'm just going to bring it back up there again.
There he is. Fantastic ending. You'll not be disappointed.
That's it.
All right.
All right.
Have a good holiday, everybody.